Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. I am actually coming to you from a distant location from my home. I am down in Port Richey, Florida to visit my mom. Looking forward to seeing her in just a little bit. Excited to come talk to y'all today. Excited to celebrate us being warrior princesses together. I want to open in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you so much for this opportunity to come and talk to these ladies. I just thank you so much, Lord, for guiding and directing me towards books that help to build me up and grow me as a person and as a Christian, and to stay focused on you. Lord, I pray for this time that we spend together this morning, that I'm able to help each and every person that watches this to get a handle on their overthinking and flip those soundtracks so that they can be more positive and productive and connect with the purpose that you've got for them, Lord. Please watch over us and take care of us today in Jesus' name. Amen. It is so exciting to be here. Last week, we learned so much about overthinking. We defined overthinking. We learned that it gets so loud in our ears that we can turn down the dial on it, that it's not a switch. We can't flip it off. Well, we probably sometimes get mad and do flip it off, but not flipping off the switch. But we can turn down the dial. And it's been so helpful for me turning down the dial on my overthinking. I hope that it's helped you. Last week we learned to ask our soundtracks 3 questions. We learned to ask, is it true? Is it helpful? And is it kind? And I hope this week, as you had opportunity when the soundtracks got loud in your life, that you took the time to ask them those questions. Today we're going to dive in to some really great things that will help you as the soundtracks get loud. It's easy to say that we'll replace, retire, and repeat new soundtracks. But what does that actually look like? When we retire an old soundtrack, it has a really nasty habit of coming back. It doesn't stay down forever. So then we have to replace it with new soundtracks. And we're going to talk about replacing new soundtracks today. That's such an important part in this book. And y'all, if you haven't got this book yet, either in regular physical copy, or I really strongly suggest you, even if you get a physical copy, to get the audio book, because the Audible, or if you get it on Apple Books or wherever you get it, is so good. The author is so funny, y'all. And he has so many good examples that I just want to read you this whole book. I have to break myself from just reading it to you, because his examples are something you can definitely identify with. So if you haven't done that yet, I just strongly encourage you to get it. But today, as we're talking about replacing the old soundtracks, sometimes it's hard for you to come up with your own. But I don't know about you, but when I'm just walking around minding my own business, I will hear a really cool phrase occasionally. And I will take that and I'll be like, yeah, I could use that in my life. An example, okay, when anything hard ever comes up that I've got to tackle, I will spit out the phrase, how do you eat an elephant? You eat an elephant one bite at a time. Whenever I am facing any kind of difficulty that seems really big, I break it down into small goals. And ever since I heard that in a motivational meeting, because I'm not new to overthinking, I've been overthinking all my life. I have gone to seminar after seminar after seminar, and almost every business seminar I've gone to has always been about not overthinking. So it is definitely a huge problem for all of us. So we have to replace those old soundtracks with new soundtracks, so when we hear really neat things, we just gather them. And a lot of times they'll pop up just unexpectedly and catch us by surprise, and we'll be like, yeah, that's right, that's right. I heard one last year, I believe it was, on Facebook. Everybody's down on Facebook, and I get it. There can be a lot of negative things on Facebook. But it's whatever you buy into and you look at on Facebook, because on my Facebook, I have motivational things that come up every day, like I've survived 100% of all my bad days. Man, that was epic. That was epic during the pandemic, and even since then. I've survived 100 of all my bad days. Whenever I see a challenging day coming up when I look at my book, I'm like, I've survived 100% of all my bad days. This is just a day. I have enough time to do everything that I've got to do today. Doesn't mean I'm gonna finish everything that I've got to do today, but everything important today will get done. And I just rest in that, and I don't stress myself out and run around like a chicken with my head cut off anymore. I just slow it down, and I repeat that soundtrack. So as you're wandering around about through your day and through this week, and you hear some little motivational catch, kind of hold on to it. Kind of just scroll that back in the file. Like I tell everybody, yep, I got all kinds of stuff in all kinds of files, and I'll just pop it up when I need it, and I'll play it. Now, like I told my husband the other day when we were walking though, sometimes I got too many apps open at once. And I can't think about one thought because there's 80 coming at me, and I've got to slow it down and start closing apps. But that's another story. We're talking about our old broken soundtracks and retiring them and replacing them with new ones. And I would love to go into more and more of his stories, because he has some incredible stories in this book about replacing old soundtracks. But in this chapter on borrowing soundtracks, you gather amazing soundtracks whenever you hear one pop up that sounds interesting to you. And you also take action. It is really hard to replace a thought without a good action. And he gives an example about how when he was running, turn that back, when he was writing his book, it was really hard for him to just set down to blank paper and write. So for whatever reason, he thought about Mr. Rogers. And Mr. Rogers would always come in, and he would take off his shoes, and he would change and put on another pair of shoes, and he would take off his jacket and put on his sweater. Well, John is a writer and a runner, and he goes into this running store and gets these super fast running shoes. And I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but these shoes were designed to run a marathon in under 2 hours. So they're super crazy fast. And he picked up a pair, and he would change into one of these pairs of shoes every day when he sat down to write. And it motivated him to write, because the shoes were light and easy, and he wanted to make his writing light and easy. What was so funny, after I listened to this, probably the first or second time I listened to it, I was out running. And I don't know about you, but it doesn't matter what you weigh. Sometimes when you're out running, you feel like you've got lead in your feet. You feel like a Clydesdale. You might be a Chihuahua, but you feel like a Clydesdale. And you are running heavy and hard and sweating. And this one day, that was me. And I got to thinking about John. this new soundtrack popped up in my mind, Light and Easy. I'm like, yeah, I can run light and easy. I'm gonna make this run light and easy. And I just kept repeating, you know, this run isn't hard. This run is light and easy. And as I started running and started enjoying it more and listening to the music that I was listening to, my run became more light and easy. Now, every day is not gonna go like that. Every day, right when you start repeating your soundtrack, it's not gonna turn down that quick. It's not gonna flip over that quick. But it's not got any chance at all to do it if you don't try. The more you try to replace these soundtracks and the more you work on turning them down, the more successful you're gonna be. And it's just very important that we're aware of those things. One thing we've got to think about is replacing our soundtracks is about identifying what soundtracks we've been listening to and then owning the responsibility of changing them. Because a lot of days, if we're stressed and we're anxious, it's because we have gotten spun up about a lot of negative things going on in our life. And when we do that, we've got to look at it. Are we looking at the problem? Or are we looking at a solution? I tell you what, a lot of times when I'm spun up like that, I'm looking at the problem. I'm not thinking about the 10 ways I'm gonna make this change or make this better. I'm thinking about, oh man, this is terrible. It's always gonna be this way. Why is this always happening to me? Poor me, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? None of that's helping it. None of that's helping it. And I usually do that for about 5 or 10 minutes. My husband used to think, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like, or if I lose my keys, y'all, this is a side note. Which I always do, even though they're in one of 3 places, and they're always in one of 3 places, they're lost forever. And I'm running around the house because I'm usually in a hurry because I've piled my day with 8,000 things that I want to try to get done. And I'm freaking out. And when my husband first met me, he thought, oh my gosh, she is really stressed. And then he'd realize about 4 or 5 minutes later, I'd go into problem solving mode. And whatever catastrophe had blown up in my face, be it that losing your keys is not like nuclear war or anything, but you know, at the moment it feels like it because you're gonna be late, your day's gonna be ruined. I would go into problem solving mode and I would stop and start thinking through my problem. And start thinking through, now, where was I the last time I had them? So that's the thing. If we could stop in our overthinking for a second and start thinking about solutions, it would definitely help us to retire this poor soundtrack. So that's just, you know, good information to have. Focus on the solution and not the problem. I'm skipping around a little bit because it's just so important, the things that we think about. I had the boys memorize a Bible verse when they were in probably early elementary. It was probably before Dylan was in 4th or 5th grade. And it was, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is worthy of praise, think about these things. And I know that just sounds like a flippant thing to say, but it's true. If you think about things that are good, if you think about things that are good for you, if you think about things that are happy and joyful and kind, it changes your life. The things that we watch on TV and the things that we listen to as music and entertainment, it changes our life. I had a sweet person yesterday talk to me about such a beautiful memory of their grandma and how she used to remember her grandma and her aunt laughing. And she said she was so sad when her grandma passed away because she had started to forget her laugh. And someone actually had a video of her aunt and her grandma together, and they were laughing and giggling. And she said that just made her smile so much. We have to embrace and find those things that make us laugh and smile. I want to go back to replacing soundtracks. And one good way to replace these broken soundtracks and adopt new ones is positive thinking. And there are so many different books on positive thinking, but one of the key leaders in positive thinking was Zig Ziglar. And he had a system to help change your thinking. And it was to repeat positive anthems, mantras, statements, whatever you want to call them, twice a day in the mirror. Now I know that sounds crazy, but I've actually started doing it, and sometimes I may not be in a mirror because I'm out running when I actually think about it. I forget to do it right when I get up, but I repeat these things to myself. And I think even if I'm not looking in the mirror and I'm repeating them to myself, that they're going to change me because I'm actually saying them out loud to myself. And that might be a good place to start for you. If you could adopt some positive things to say about yourself and look at yourself in the mirror and say them each day. Or maybe if that sounds a little hard for you, maybe you can just, right when you get out of bed, give thanks for the day. Or right when you get out of bed, say something positive about yourself. Maybe not even in a mirror. But I hear it is extremely effective to look in the mirror and tell yourself these positive anthems twice a day. I want to go through some of the positive anthems today because they were really neat. And I've adopted a couple of these myself, and I really think they've helped. I really think they've helped me feel more positive about myself and slow down my overthinking. And the biggest solution to stopping overthinking, other than retiring, replacing, and repeating new soundtracks, is action. And when you take action and responsibility for your soundtracks and start saying the new anthems, they create new soundtracks. So I'm going to go through these new anthems to try to help you today. And here's just kind of going back over the in the mirror situation. For 30 days, every morning and every night, find a mirror and stand up straight and confident and say the following aloud. And you can just pick some of these. You don't have to say all of them. You can pick one of them, or you could pick a couple of them, but say them twice a day in the mirror and see how this works for you. Today is brand new and tomorrow is too. I've got a gift worth giving. I tell myself that a lot, even before I ran into this book. I have a gift worth giving, and God created me with a purpose. And because I have a purpose, I have to connect to that purpose so that I can be there for others. Number 3, the only person standing in my way is me, and I quit doing that yesterday. That's one that I adopted because I am in the way of me more than any other human on this planet. So I've adopted that one. That's one of mine that I do. And this next one is definitely one that I probably tell myself more than twice a day. I am the CEO of me, and I am a good boss. I'm not always a good boss to myself. My husband gets on to me all the time about my boss, which is actually me. So this is definitely a perfect one for me. I am the CEO of me, and I am the best boss. Winning is contagious. When I help others win, I win too. Number 6, feeling uncomfortable is just a sign that my old comfort zone is having a hard time keeping up with me. Momentum is messy. Everything is always working out for me, which that has been the anthem of my life for many years. But I actually spin it as Romans 8:28. All things work together for good for those that love the Lord. They're called according to his purpose. My kids, if they've heard that one time, they've heard it 600,000 times. But in truth, it means everything's always working out for me. And I fully believe that. Even when everything is blowing up in my face and falling apart, I just go right to that thought. After the panic attack, I go right to that thought. Everything is always working out for me. So I don't have to worry about this. I just have to take the next logical step. I am my biggest fan. That's a hard one for me. I'm probably not going to stand in the mirror and say that, because I'm not always my biggest fan. I'm usually my biggest enemy. I hate to admit that to y'all, but I'm usually my biggest enemy and not my biggest fan. So I probably do need to stand in the mirror and say that, but I'm probably not going to do it right yet. I'll keep you posted on whether I start that or not. Number 10, the best response to an obstacle is to do it anyway. Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, one of the biggest obstacles in my life I faced this year, morning exercise. I know that does not seem like a big obstacle. There are people that have been getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning for centuries to exercise. I get it. I had told myself that there was no way possible that I could get up in the mornings and exercise, that it just takes me too long to get ready for work, when essentially it takes 30 to 45 minutes with a shower from wet hair to get it together. But I had told myself that the 2 or 3 hours a day that I had before work, I could not exercise 30 minutes to an hour. Could not do it. Was not going to happen. Had tried it many times unsuccessfully. Well, let me tell you, I now run 5, 6, and every once in a while, if I'm feeling really super ambitious, which is not very often, so don't be that impressed, but every once in a while, I'll run 8 miles. But usually it's 5. Usually it's 5. I don't want to oversell this. Usually I only have time for 45 minutes to an hour to run. So it's usually 5. But I've successfully done this for 6 months now. I was walking before I started running. So I've actually gotten up and exercised for almost a year every morning. And I can't believe I did it. So that was an obstacle I had to overcome. And I'm killing it. And on days I don't feel like doing it, I tell myself, you've just got to get up and do it. You're going to feel better after. And I get up and do it, and I feel better after. So let me just encourage you this week to connect with positive affirmations. Pick a couple and say them in the mirror every day. If that's too scary at first, say them when you first get out of bed. Pick your thoughts for the day. Do not let your feelings pick your thoughts. Pick good things that you want to think about. I hope you have a great week. I hope all you mothers out there have a wonderful Mother's Day. I'm actually going to be on here again tomorrow with kind of what's happened this year with my health journey. What made me become the warrior princess that I am. And I'm super excited to share it because day after Mother's Day, well, it won't be tomorrow to be Monday, I'm sorry. I got overly excited. Day after Mother's Day, last year, I started a health journey. I woke up, drew a line in the sand, and I have not looked back. And I'm excited to share it with you. Y'all have a great day. Love you. Bye-bye.